Decepticons merge and become Abominus!
Abominus, a Decepticon combiner made up of 5 smaller robots that specialize in terrorizing their opponents. Hi everyone, and welcome to another marvelous video. The Transformers franchise revolved around the encounters between Autobots and the Decepticons. Soon both sides had their own set of unique robots that could combine to form giant robots. They were called the Combiners, and their might is unparalleled. In today's video, we will be talking about one such combiner from the Decepticons, Abominus. Abominus was lethal and was feared by all. Abominus, in rage, was like a wild animal, and nothing that came in his way survived. In different media, he was shown to be fighting against Autobot combiners, mainly Computron. So without further delay, let us begin. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Must destroy Abominus at once.
Abominus, the combination of Terracon's origins. Abominus was a combiner robot formed of the Terracons, whose mindless rage and unstoppable rampage were feared by all. He is not the one who was likely to order from any Decepticons. In most of Abominus's appearances, he was pitted against the Autobot combiner Computron. Following the Generation 1 continuity, Abominus first appeared in Transformers Season 3, Episode 24, titled Grimlock's New Brain, where he was shown to be giving the Autobots a tough time. The episode centers around Dinobot, Grimlock, who is ridiculed by the other Autobots for not being as intelligent as the rest of them. On Cybertron, the Autobots have made a new device capable of providing power efficiently. Grimlock has been tasked to pull the lever to activate the machine, but the latter cannot locate it and makes a fool of himself. Meanwhile, a Skuxoid and Slizardo sneak into Cybertron's generator and place anti-electrons inside it on Galvatron's orders. Skylynx and Cosmo were then returning to Cybertron, and the waves from the anti-electrons disrupted their circuitry and made them crash land. The rest of the Autobots estimated their fall and arrived at their location to find Skylynx and Cosmos gravely injured. Springer tried taking them to the repair center, but even his circuits malfunctioned. Finally, Perceptor inferred that the source of the problem was the generator, following which was the Autobots. Rodimus, Ultramagnus, Grimlock, and Cup made their way underground toward the generator room to investigate. The team split into 2, with Cup babysitting Grimlock and Rodimus, and Magnus searching for the generator. However, when they reached close to the generator, Rodimus and Magnus began malfunctioning. Grimlock and Cup managed to reach the generator room, and Grimlock destroyed the generator by biting the wires off. Interestingly, after biting the power cables, a massive surge of charge passed through Grimlock, completely changing him. His voice changed, and most notably, his intelligence surpassed that of every Autobot on Cybertron. The new genius Grimlock rescued Rodimus and Magnus from the system's defenses, and later calculated that Galvatron and forces would seek more anti-electrons from Unicron's head. He was correct, as the Decepticons soon reached Unicron's head to accumulate anti-electrons. Meanwhile, the Autobots began their journey to Unicron's head via a spaceship built by Grimlock. The Autobots soon arrived at the location and began fighting the Decepticons. The Terracons then combined into the massive Abominus, who single-handedly engaged all the Autobots. Grimlock left the war zone and created 5 new robots called Technobots, who were also combiners. They assisted the Autobots in battle, and later, following their creator's orders, they combined to form the new combiner robot for the Autobots, known as Computron. Grimlock transferred his newly acquired intelligence to the robot and went back to his primitive state. Computron battled Abominus and managed to take down the massive robot. Before passing on his intelligence, Grimlock clearly mentioned that tactical intelligence was the only way to defeat Abominus, which significantly explains that it was impossible to take down the massive Decepticon combiner with just sheer force. Abominus and the Terracons also appeared in the next episode, titled Money is Everything, where they worked for the Quintessons. The episode begins with Terracon, Hunger, in pursuit of a trader ship piloted by Dark Manus. As they approached Earth, EDC, or Earth Defense Command, sent Commander Marissa Fairborn along with Technobots, Scattershot, and Strafe in response to Manus's distress call. Manus was saved, and Hunger was forced to retreat. Dark Manus flirts with Marissa and informs them of a Quintesson base near Saturn. He was shown hiding a device, and later it was revealed that this device was a delivery for the Quintessence. Dark Manus had been working for the Quintessence, and the information about their base on Saturn was to lure the Technobots into a trap. Dark Manus learned that the Quintessence had sent Hunger to attack him and take the device, for which he charged triple the amount. Marissa overheard their conversation and pointed her blasters at Manus, who swiftly disarmed her by firing his own micro-blaster. While she was left tied up, Scattershot, Lightspeed, and Strafe left Earth with Manus for Saturn. Just as they were nearby Saturn, Abominus attacked them and made them crash land on the planet. Manus delivered the device, which was revealed to be a recreator capable of dematerializing and reforming individuals. Completing the deal, Manus placed a micro-sized nuclear nullifier on Recreator and left with the money. However, the Quintessence outsmart his tricks. They removed the nullifier after his departure, and also the money they paid him was nothing but mimic dust. Before Manus could do much, the Quintessence fired at his spaceship and made him crash land back on the planet. Technobots Afterburner and Nosecone, back on Earth, freed Marissa Fairborn and left with her for Saturn. Meanwhile, Manus, surviving yet another crash, meets the Techbots, but a horde of Sharkticons soon attacks them. While they made their narrow escape, Marissa arrived along with 2 Technobots. The first thing she did was deliver an uppercut to Dark Manus. However, they are forced to take Manus in their team after he informs them about the Recreator and how he could possibly be the only one who could disarm it. Despite having the Technobots, they were at the losing end as, owing to the injuries, the robots could not combine with Computron. They arrived at the Quintessence base, and Manus tried to renegotiate their deal. To prove his honesty, he vaporized the Technobots using the Recreator, which left Marissa Fairborn with the disgusted feeling of betrayal. However, this was all a part of Manus's plan, who soon reformed the Technobots with the device. The Recreator healed the Technobots of their injuries, and they soon combined to form Computron. The Terracons wasted no time and combined to form Abominus. Abominus fired his blasters, and Computron managed to dodge them, following which he charged towards Computron at full speed. Grabbing Computron, Abominus knocked him to the ground and began punching him. However, Computron calculated his weak spot and fired his laser cannon, which dismantled Abominus into the Terracons. The Terracons escaped while the Quintessence retreated, and the Manus left with his spaceship, Lazy Sue. There was a brief appearance of Abominus in the next episode, Call of the Primitives, where an energy creature known as Tornadron drained their energy and left them lifeless. Tornadron was created by Primacron, who slowly kept devouring living entities and planets before attacking its creator. Dinobot Grimlock finally helped Primacron take down his creation, following which all lives and worlds were restored. Abominus' appearance in the Headmasters Cartoon. In the Headmasters Cartoons, Abominus made notable appearances as a part of the Decepticons. He appeared at Galvatron's first fleet of soldiers sent to attack Cybertron. It was showcased in Episode 1, titled 4 Warriors Come Out of the Sky, with Galvatron and his minions, Weird Wolf, Skullcruncher, and Mindwipe, arriving on Cybertron via the space bridge. Galvatron is back to control Vector Sigma and commands the Terracons, Predacons, and Combaticons to attack the Autobots. Mindwipe uses his hypnotic powers and manages to send Grimlock to sleep. Spike was the first one to realize the true motives of the Decepticons and alarmed Cup. Meanwhile, the Autobots on Earth received news of the Decepticon attack on Cybertron and began preparing for their departure. Led by Ultra Magnus, the Autobots made their way to the space bridge, but Decepticon's Six-Shot obstructed them. While Ultra Magnus and Six-Shot engaged in battle, Wheelie and Daniel tried to make their way to Cybertron. They accidentally ran into Trypticon, who chased them while Wheelie smartly ran across a bridge over a ravine. Trypticon foolishly followed them over the bridge, but owing to his enormous weight, the bridge snapped and he fell into the river below. The Trainbots also arrived to aid the Autobots and managed to free Ultra Magnus from Six-Shot. Ultra Magnus sent the Trainbots through the space bridge while he, along with Prowl and Sideswipe, managed to hold the Decepticons. They arrived on Cybertron to join the vicious battle against the Decepticon invading forces. The battle had then escalated to a great extent, with Autobots summoning more troops to encounter the Decepticons. Abominus could also be seen fighting against Superion. Later, along with the other fellow Decepticon combiners, he continued his attacks on the Autobots before Battleship Maximus began shooting them. He managed to take down all of the Decepticon combiners, following which Galvatron called for a retreat. In the next episode, when Hot Rod and the Autobot Headmasters arrived on Earth in search of the Matrix of Leadership. Galvatron's forces also arrived. The Terracons began their attack on Hot Rod, but thanks to Chrome Dome and the Autobot Headmasters, they were kept busy so that Hot Rod could complete his mission. Soon the Terracons combined to form Abominus, which made it difficult for the Autobots to hold him off. Fortunately, Computron arrived and stopped Abominus, who was seen with his head buried into the ground after the battle. In Episode 15, the Terracons assembled to form Abominus once again and fought Combiner Raiden on Mars. He also fought Autobot Monsterbots in Episode 22, titled Head Formation of Friendship, where the Monsterbots' attacks drove him off. Following this, the Terracons appeared in several other episodes as individual robots and as Abominus, who mainly was showcased as one of the heaviest artillery for the Decepticons.
Than before. Terracons, merge and become Abominus!
Abominus storyline in comic series. Abominus also made notable appearances in the comics, where he continued to inflict wrath with his brute strength and heavy artillery. In the Marvel The Transformers comics, the Terracons were a part of Scorponok's crew on Cybertron, along with the Horrorcons. Together, they terrorized Splendora City. When Autobot Headmasters Brainstorm and Hardhead arrived along with the Technobots to stop them, the Terracons combined to form Abominus. Abominus began his rampage before the Technobots combined to form Computron and blasted Abominus with acid pellets. Computron then bashed Abominus with the steel beam with such high intensity that he dismantled into Terracons and escaped. Wielder of Enigma's power. Following the IDW continuity, the origin of Abominus is completely different from that of other media and franchises. Here, Abominus was not the combined form of Terracons, but rather a few Transformers wielding an ancient magical power. Many years before the War of the Threefold Spark, a few Cybertronians got hold of an ancient artifact of the 13, known as the Enigma of Combination. This artifact granted these Cybertronians to combine into a humongous robot named Abominus. Abominus lacked any purpose and was like a wild beast set loose. He roamed Cybertron in search of Energon and destroyed anything coming his way. The rest of the Cybertronians tried everything to stop his rampage but failed, realizing the giant robot was impossible to reason with or even bargain or threaten. Together with their combined efforts, Abominus was felled at Rivet's Field, where its component robots were separated and the Enigma of Combination was buried. The entire event was witnessed by Nominus Prime and Termagox, and later in the history of Cybertron, it was stated that Autobot Power Master Diatlas was the one who took down Abominus. Components of Abominus. Abominus was a combiner formed from the Terracons, Hunger, Rippersnapper, Sinner Twin, Blot, and Cutthroat. When combined, Abominus lacked any proper thinking and was known to channel with brute strength in the direction pointed out by his leader. However, when dismantled, the Terracons had the capability of thinking, and they were the vicious factions amongst the Decepticons. Hunger, Torso. Hunger was the leader of the Terracons and had the potential of a Decepticon leader. Hunger was a terrible glutton who constantly needed to devour objects and fill his stomach with as much energy as possible. He appeared like a two-headed dragon in his alternate mode and possessed a sonic gun as his primary weapon. When combined into Abominus, Hunger became its torso. Hunger, at times, combined with other Decepticons, also forming Abominaticus or Decepticon Super Scramble. Rippersnapper, left arm. Terracon Rippersnapper, when combined into the Abominus form, became the giant robot's left arm. Rippersnapper was known to be suffering from a massive inferiority complex, which he took out on beings he believed to be inferior to him. In his alternate mode, he transforms into a bipedal shark and is heavily equipped with muscles. Sinner Twin, left leg. Like the rest of his teammates, Sinner Twin was also a horrific and dangerous Terracon. He will kill anything he finds alive, so he patrolled the Terracon's lair daily. Ironically, Sinner Twin was afraid of small creatures without any reason mentioned. Apart from his bot mode, Sinner Twin could transform into Orthrus, and when combined with his fellow Terracons, he formed the left leg of Abominus. He possessed a flame cannon, and he could breathe fire. Blot, right arm. Blot was considered the vilest transformer to have ever existed. There are fluids oozing out of his joints and a foul odor that made everyone stay away from him. His central processor was very slow, which hampered his response as well. His peers thought of him as brutish and unintelligent, which gave him an inferiority complex. He only believed in hunger and followed his orders blindly. Blot possessed pyrokinesis and was the marksman of the team. He could transform into an ogre in his alt mode and became the right arm of Abominus when combined with the rest of the Terracons. Cutthroat, right leg. Regarding the most dangerous and ruthless Terracons, there is no one to cross Cutthroat, while the other Decepticon would enjoy trashing the Autobots, cutting mechanical beings into pieces with his bare claws. His barbaric fighting style is often disregarded by the Decepticons owing to his frenzy, which often wasted too much energy. However, none would ever come up to state it in fear of his murderous frenzy. Cutthroat could transform into a hawk monster, and when combined into Abominus, he became the giant robot's right leg. Marvelous verdict. So we have finally come to the end of our video, and we hope that you have liked our content. It can be inferred that, for Abominus, his unintelligent mind is the main cause of his defeat. His brute strength is unparalleled, and as explained earlier, he was one of the big guns for the Decepticons. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks, everyone.